Welcome to the Foreign Tigers podcast with me, Louis.
And with me, Eric.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Foreign Tigers podcast, Korea edition.
As you know, Louis and I are foreigners living in South Korea. This is our home, and part of integrating and getting through daily life here is learning the Korean language. Korean, with its Hangul script, is elegantly logical, built to mirror how our mouths move when we speak, and most people can learn Hangul in a few hours, helping make one of the most important and challenging steps in the language learning journey uniquely accessible.
Yeah, I agree. I learned how to read everything, but sometimes I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, no, that's the challenge, right? So, of course, understanding the meaning, that is where learning a language really gets complicated.
So today we're pleased to welcome Hyunwoo Sun, the founder and CEO of Talk to Me in Korean.
Hello.
Since 2009, he has turned Talk to Me in Korean into a trusted port of call for Korean learners worldwide, creating courses, books, and videos that make Korean feel accessible and enjoyable. Drawing on his background in linguistics and education, Talk to Me in Korean focuses on clarity, practicality, and genuine cultural connection. In short, he and Talk to Me in Korean help people start learning with confidence and help to bridge cultures one lesson at a time. As a growing global community continues to be lured into K-culture with dramas, music, and movies, Hyunwoo's company has become the first port of call for people looking to learn Korean. In fact, in my very first Korean lesson back in London, I was given the Talk to Me in Korean Level 1 textbook. So with that, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And earlier I interrupted you by accident because I thought
you're the guest.
But thank you for the elegant introduction. That's going to save me a lot of time in terms of having to introduce what I have done. I couldn't have put it in a nicer way.
Oh, thank you. You're the guest, and we're so excited to have you here.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's like meeting a rock star for the first time. We've absorbed your content, and now you're here in front of us. It's quite strange.
It is a very interesting feeling to know that on the other side of the room, or on the other side of the LAN cable over the internet, there are people listening to my voice in their car, in their kitchen as they're doing their dishes, or wherever they are while they're walking or running in the park. I'm just sitting here like we are now in front of a camera or a microphone, and I'm doing my best to teach. But then there are hundreds of thousands or sometimes millions of people watching or recording or listening to the same recording. It is a very interesting feeling. It's surreal almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, luckily on this podcast, you only have to think about tens
Yeah.
of people listening. We're still new. We're still getting there.
Yeah, my mom is going to be thrilled to hear this episode.
That's cool.
Every episode.
Yeah.
Big listener.
Okay, so to kick us off, Talk to Me in Korean turns 16 today. And you're headed to a party after this podcast to celebrate. Could you tell us a bit about how you feel and any reflections you might have on these past 16 years?
Well, first of all, we only started with this one problem that we wanted to solve, which was the lack or deficiency of, or absence almost, of Korean language materials for self-learners. People could go online and type learn Korean or Korean lessons. They could find some things, but nothing that's systematically organized, nothing that would take you from Hangul to level 5, 6, or above, like all the way up to business Korean, stuff like that. So that was the idea back then. But then 16 years later, we have solved that. And thankfully, a lot of other very talented Korean language educators have joined, and they actually started creating content, especially back in 2022 in the middle of the pandemic. I think a lot of people started becoming a creator, right? So now nobody can complain saying that there's not enough materials for learning Korean. It's the opposite, actually. The situation is completely the opposite. So I think my team and I have gone through lots of stages, now leading us to the next stage where we need to work harder to make the Korean language feel more cool, more fun, and package the Korean language as a brand as well. Like, because Korean teaching, we've done it. we already have 47 books. We recently published our 47th book in the bookstores around the world. We have apps, courses, and everything. So there's not much more we can make in terms of, I want to teach you more, right? So we are at a different stage now. So it feels very, I don't know, fulfilling to me personally, but at the same time, very meaningful. Like, because the job that I have, this is my first full-time job, actually, out of college.
Wow.
This didn't exist before we created Talk to Me Korean.
Okay.
So nobody could tell me, hey, this is the right direction. You can go here and you will find this. Not like becoming a doctor or a professor at a university. Like given steps are there, but yeah, for it's been a wonderful ride for me. Yeah.
And so, of course, this journey, it's been, with Talk to Me in Korean specifically, it's been 16 years now. But with you, obviously, it begins earlier in your life. And with your own language learning experiences, I presume. And I think everyone, when they're learning a language, they have these moments in their journey where you suddenly realize you're a bit out of your depth, or the preparation that you've done, it just kind of goes out the window when you have a serious situation. So you've talked before about this moment you've had the first time you've met a native English teacher, where it didn't quite go the way that you expected it to. Could you talk about that moment, what it did to you, and how that changed your approach to language learning going forward?
Okay, so first of all, some background information. I was born in 1980, and this native speaker teacher that came to our high school back in 1996, she was born in 1948. So actually older than my mom. So I still keep in touch with her. She's back in Canada. I'm worried these days personally because she's not getting back to me in KakaoTalk like as often, as quickly as she would. So maybe she's busy with her life, or maybe she's not very healthy, stuff like that. I do, keep thinking about her because she's so important in my formative years. But anyway, so she was a 55-year-old teacher from Canada who came to Korea on this special project that invited 30-something like native English speaker teachers as a government experiment. And then she was appointed to teach at our school.
Right.
And that's when I got stomach ache and I had to go home early. And my teachers were very scary people, very strict. No, you must stay here, study until 10 p.m. and stuff like that, right? And but my stomach ache was killing me, so I had to go and talk to this teacher, confront the teacher, despite my fear of him. And then I opened the door to the staff room, and he was standing next to this lady, and she was the first foreigner that I met in my entire life. So I had learned English for 3+ years. In middle school, of course, we took classes, but then when she turned around to me and she said, "Good afternoon." And I couldn't say good afternoon back to her because I froze. I didn't imagine this happening that day and I wasn't ready. And the English language that we had been taught in middle school classes it was very impractical, and it was just a school subject that we had to memorize a ton of words for, not something that you speak. So I realized, it wasn't a moment of deciding, oh, I need to learn to speak this language or anything like that. But my first thought was, it's such a shame. It's so embarrassing. I do know how to say good afternoon. So the only thought I had in my mind back then was going back home on the bus. I thought, I'm going to practice good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon at home. And then the next time I see her, if I see her again, I don't know who she is, whether she's going to teach at our school or anything like that, I'm going to say very loudly, good afternoon to her and prove that I'm not such a bad English learner. So that's how it started. And I think everybody needs to have that kind of origin story. It can be repackaged or it can be, I don't know, exaggerated. Mine is no exaggeration. It's just plain, but everybody needs a good origin story. Why did you start learning Korean or stuff like that? That'll keep the, I don't know, fire strong, I think.
Absolutely. I think, that impetus, that little fire, that reason,
Yeah.
whether that be embarrassment or, learning, trying to learn something new, is definitely really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you talk more about why that origin story is important? Because that's a really interesting idea. Because that's something that doesn't just apply. Do you think that applies to other things too? Or just language? And how is it something that we can look back on to push us forward?
I think to me it was an important moment, mainly because that was an opportunity for me to see that my self-image wasn't actually true to what I was like. Meaning, I thought I had learned some English, but then this one interaction, a 10-second interaction, completely broke that image of me. And gave me this moment of realization. I really don't know English. So I had to switch my approach. And then other things happened in similar fashions. For example, so I was studying English really diligently in classrooms and stuff like that. And teachers noticed that. And one teacher gave me this information about some English contest. And then I thought I was good at English. I was getting better at English, and I thought I was going to do well. But then the first contest that I went to, I saw these other students from various parts of Korea who had gathered. And I saw a whole new world of students who regularly gather at every single contest hosted by various universities. There was a whole gang of students who always go to those events, except for me, until that day. So this one government fax paper that she printed out for me and handed to me was also another kind of shocking moment. I entered a new world. And then I went to KU, Korea University. And then also by coincidence, I entered in 1999, and KU started accepting global students and Korean students who were born overseas and came back to Korea in 1997. So I entered in the third year of their, initiative. So I thought my English was good in high school because by my third year, I had won various awards and won in many contests and stuff like that. But then I went to KU, which was full of native English speakers and students who had studied abroad. And they were talking about brand names that I didn't know about. So that also broke my incorrect self-image. So I think everybody needs these moments of embarrassment, shock, or awe, I think. Yeah.
That's a really good word to describe it. Yeah, I get that every time I try and order coffee. So you mentioned Korea University. We are also alumni of Korea University. But you didn't study Korean language.
No.
You studied French literature.
Exactly.
And were also, if my sources are correct, passionate about breakdancing. Is there anything from those experiences that taught you something deeper about learning in general and that you apply to your methodology at Talk to Me in Korean?
So a lot of people disagree with me on this topic, but I have no talent in language learning, period. I don't have any inherent talent in learning quickly anything. So from my experience of actually training every day to understand and speak English better in my high school years, I thought, okay, so I don't think I have any talent for that. I'm not a genius. So I just have to put in the hours. That's it. The only thing that I can do right now to maybe compete or maybe to compete with myself, maybe past versions of myself, is to just pour hundreds of hours into this new language every single month. And that's what I did. And then it worked. So from 1996, I guess March or April, being a normal high school student who didn't speak any English, who hadn't met any foreigners not even English speakers, but just foreigners in general, to being completely comfortable in English in 1998 by December, in less than 3 years. that gave me this confidence that, okay, if I really want to start learning anything, just by sheer, like big amounts of time investment, I can do it. So by the time I went to college, I just stumbled upon these middle schoolers who were secretly training breakdance moves in Kodae, Korea University, because they didn't find any place elsewhere. Korea University had some like smooth surfaces here and there. So they had like kind of snuck in and then they were practicing. So I thought it was interesting. And I wondered, can I learn that? So that's how I started. And I looked into the Korea University dance clubs and stuff like that. So I joined the official club, KUDT, Korea University Dance Team. And 3 years later, I think I was pretty good. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a similar amount of time that I had invested into English. So 3 years later, I was very confident that I was one of the best university breakdancers in Korea. So yeah.
Wow. So you just picked a thing and you
Yeah.
were like, I'm going to do this. And
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
figured
So,
it out.
I mean, having achieved one thing achieved success with one thing can be luck. But having done that twice gave me confirmation that with anything in life, if you actually put in the time, it'll work. So I think that's helps me be confident with my website and brand and company as well. Yeah.
So why language though, right? Because it sounds like you have this willpower and you can really pour yourself into many different things. Why was it language that called you in the beginning?
I don't know. It was by chance that I got hooked to learning English, but I don't know. Maybe that chance encounter with the Canadian teacher, on which day I felt, pure embarrassment, or it was my puberty that maybe helped fuel the effort. I think it was just coincidence at first, but it really was a good source of confidence and confirmation about life in general for me.
I mean, and it sounds like that became the focus. Like, you chose to focus on not just learning language, but do you find yourself doing that in other hobbies as well? Do you like hiking, for example? Do you want to be the best at hiking?
So the third thing I tried was, I don't know if you know the term tricking, gymnastics. So it's a little different from gymnastics. Tricking is a combination of gymnastics and like kicks and turns. So you're flipping in the air, but you're doing twists. So I started doing that right before my son was born,
Right.
about 11 years ago. So I did that for 4 years and I became sufficiently good in my own, I guess, standard. And that was the third thing that I tried from being a complete novice to being above intermediate.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Sounds like you just pick things and they're just like, I'm just going to try this one.
No, I mean, there were some things that I wanted to pick and be good at that I didn't find the passion for, like, indoor climbing. I like it, but I never went back, enough times.
I guess that's important too, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
learning when to say, no, like this actually doesn't interest me now that I've dipped my toe in.
Exactly.
I need to find something else.
Yeah, swimming, I tried. Things like that. There were some stuff, and also driving. I've gone to the car tracks, many times, and initially I thought I would be the best race driver in my circle, but then there are so many other talented people, and it's very expensive and time consuming to drive all the way there, the tires. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy a racing simulator at home and then just play on my PlayStation. That's what I do now.
Okay. I'm not going to ask if you're a Formula One fan because this will
like you
just
are.
become a Formula One podcast.
Okay.
We'll move back to language. So
Yeah.
what does it mean to deeply understand a language, like in your view? Is something like Topic 6, is that understanding a language in real depth, or is that just one metric among many?
It really depends on the person, but I think for me and for a lot of people in general, it's how comfortable you are. I mean, for example, my French or my Japanese, I can go to Japan right now and I have no problem. I can go to France, I have no issues. But is it as high level as my English or as my Korean? Absolutely not. But I'm comfortable. When a French speaker comes into this room and we have to record a podcast in French, I'll stutter here and there, but I'm good. Okay. I understand the flow of the conversation and I'm very happy with my Japanese and French as well. So I think it's a matter of how comfortable you are.
Mm.
And with time and with your interests changing, one day you won't be comfortable anymore. You're like upset that your Japanese level is here, your Korean level is here. So I think when that moment comes, you study a lot. So I think I've been very comfortable with English, Japanese, and French. And when somebody asks me, why do you not study as much anymore? I'm like, I don't feel the need to.
Right. You can go there, you can, visit for a trip, you can order coffee, go to the restaurant.
So back to your question, what does it mean to understand the language? If you can identify yourself as a Korean speaker, you understand the language, you can use it, you are comfortable. I am definitely an English speaker, Korean speaker, French speaker, Japanese speaker. I'm a partial Chinese speaker. When I go to China, I can get by and buy things. But sometimes I'm like, am I a Chinese speaker for real? I have to doubt it. So, yeah.
I think, comfort is such I haven't heard that way of putting it before. Because I think usually when someone talks about language, it's about, how well you traverse these different places. But you can still do that and not be at ease with yourself, not be at ease with your level of ability. But I think there's something like that's really hitting on something true about comfort. Like I remember in my journey, like when I first hit TOPIK 4, I was like, okay, good job. Like I did it. and I felt quite comfortable for a while and pleasantly surprised. And then these still situations arise and then something clicks and you realize, oh my gosh, though, like this isn't enough.
Yeah.
I can't be comfortable with this anymore.
Yeah.
And that sets you on this whole new journey. So no, I just thought that was insightful. That's interesting point.
And speaking of comfort, I have a hot take on comfort zone as a concept. Like a lot of people have specifically given me this compliment, something along the lines of you've come out of your comfort zone. You went out of your comfort zone to create Talk to Me in Korean. You went out of your comfort zone to learn languages, but then it was actually the opposite. Seeing the lack of resources online made me uncomfortable. So actually working on Talk to Me in Korean, like really into the late hours, like until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and then starting work again at 7 a.m. the next day, that was way more comfortable for me than not working on it. And then I went to Japan as my first overseas, business trip destination. I didn't speak a word of Japanese, and that was so uncomfortable for me. So I was determined to learn and speak Japanese the next time I went back, and I did. And I felt comfortable. And all the hours that I had spent trying to learn Japanese was completely comfortable for me. It was not at all uncomfortable. So I really don't, in general, vibe with the leaving the comfort zone to do something great. You want to go there. And only there you will be comfortable. So I kept entering the comfort zone.
Wow.
With everything that I did.
Reversing it, I am uncomfortable in this state.
Yeah.
I need to get to a state of comfort where I can interact in daily life in Japanese, for example. Interesting.
Yeah. And as a non-language example, I had some knee pain earlier this year. And I was doing some flips and I had knee pain, so that decreased my confidence in my jumps. So I went to a doctor, I went to this gym coach who trained me really brutally. I was in pain. I was crying because the knee exercise was so hard. But without going there, I was uncomfortable. I wanted to get it fixed. So it took me 2 months to completely remove my knee pain. And I'm like forever grateful to the fitness coach,
Right.
rehab coach. So I think, yeah, kind of like that. If you don't know a language you want to know, right?
That's such a good way of thinking about it. Like, I'm uncomfortable now, so get to my comfort zone.
Exactly. By working
Interesting.
on it.
Yeah. And it sounds like the thing that you're also flipping is this idea of the comfort zone. That's actually like this. I think when people say, working really hard, that's uncomfortable, you're seeing it. Do you see it as a challenge,
Yeah.
but it's not something uncomfortable? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't we go? You did mention, of course, building Talk to Me in Korean and those long hours, like working until 2 a.m., waking up at 7 a.m. Wasn't uncomfortable, right?
No.
Can you talk a little bit about how that kicked off? Like the moment that you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and what were those first steps like?
Okay, so the first time I posted anything online was 2004. So exactly 21, 22 years ago. I had just finished my military service and I was full of motivation because you are stuck somewhere for 2 years and 2 months and you write down in your notebook the things I want to do once I, finish my service. And I had a notebook full of ideas. So one of the things that I wanted to do was write. And then the ideas that I got from my international friends was that they saw lots of signs that they didn't find information about anywhere on the internet because the internet was becoming more widespread. So I started a blog. And then I didn't like the blog because everybody thought, okay, it's a nice blog. I made business cards and distributed them among my friends, and nobody read them because TLDR. So I thought, okay, how do I make them read? How do I make them understand everything that I wanted to help them understand, like hasuk written everywhere, homestay, stuff like that. And I made and deleted lots of blogs. And then YouTube came around in 2006, I believe. It was a very good free source of video storage place, up to 10 minutes at that time. So, okay, I thought one way that I can make them see my content is kind of talk into the camera in a video clip instead of writing long posts in text. So that's what I did. And I was already making lots of content for my website, personal blog. But then I found another Chinese company teaching Chinese. So I started writing a blog for them. And then I found a Japanese company teaching Japanese and Korean. So I started making some content for them. But then those were all foreign companies that were doing a ton of different things, different languages, and didn't focus on Korean. So I was like, no, I'm going to really focus on Korean as a Korean person, as this as my mother tongue. So that's how I got started. And for the first 2 to 3 years, I barely made any money, but it was a passion project. And then eventually it worked.
So obviously now Talk to Me in Korean, it's extremely well developed. There's how many people are using it, you think? Do you know?
Let's say, because we have different products now, let's say tens of thousands of paying customers right now. And above 10 million learners in total over the years, both free and paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have like tens of thousands of these paying customers. You have tons and tons of other people who are using your resources.
Yeah.
How did you make decisions regarding how to structure the books, like especially like the level 1 through 10 books? Was there at the beginning, was there a target customer or someone exactly you're thinking about?
I mean, in this day and age, I think a lot of people use fancy terms like persona or what's your avatar. We didn't know about those business terms. So we just pictured, because we started as a podcast as well, we pictured the ideal listener who is listening. And then we saw comments on our YouTube channel and on our website, because when we started our podcast, we also had our website where people can come and comment. We got way more comments on our site back then. And even though people couldn't upload, it wasn't a social media, so people couldn't upload their pictures or anything like that. But just by reading their names and their country names, stuff like that, we could picture them. So we did use a lot of the feedback from the learners. I want to know this. This is hard. So we incorporated bits and pieces of that information into our curriculum. But the majority of it was from actually my personal learning experience. We put, let's say, theoretically, all the pieces of Korean grammar, sentence structure on one table, and looked at one grammar point and thought, okay, what is a prerequisite to understanding this one? What should somebody have already learned before learning this? And then we put everything in a very linear order. And then, of course, 안녕하세요 and 감사합니다 are exceptions. And 네, 아니요. So those are our first two lessons. 안녕하세요, 감사합니다. Even though the 요 ending, the 니다 ending will come later, we did teach 안녕하세요 and 감사합니다, hello and thank you. So yeah. And then luckily, many years later, when professional researchers and university professors looked at our curriculum, we weren't that far off. We had luckily used all the necessary components of Korean education in our curriculum.
I just want to pick up a little bit on what you said about like personas. You didn't have this in your mind.
No.
In a former life, I was a product manager.
Oh.
So thinking about, the end user and what they might need and what they want, that's part of the job, right? And I think it's so interesting that, in some products start from thinking about their user personas and what they're trying to achieve in the end results. Some start organically and they just kind of trundle down the hill, becoming smoother and more refined product as they go. And it's so interesting that you talk to me in Korean sounds like that. It became more refined as it went. It was very trial and error, but also with these very structured moments of, okay, this grammar point is something that you have to know in order to understand this part. It was, I mean, you could teach a lesson on product-led growth, I think.
Thank you. The timing was good for us. I mean, we had a lot of blunders, failures along the way. Major failures, I think I count them as 7 major failures. Those were usually due to the bad timing. We had a writing correction service for a year because it was too early on, because nobody was interested in getting corrections from native speakers back then. We had a one-on-one tutor matching system, I think even before italki was there, but before other competitors of italki. And the demand was low. We had a giant coffee shop back in 2013 when we didn't have enough subscribers on YouTube. Back then, I think we had like 100,000. Now we have more than 2 million and stuff like that. We had lots of bad timing experiences. But one thing that we did in good timing was the launch of Talk to Me in Korean.
Wow. I mean, trial and error. That's what you're talking about. So this is where we get into something that might be timely.
Okay.
So language learning more generally, I've come to believe I was born in the UK, I learned English, dabbled in French when I was younger, really didn't see the value in language learning at the time. In fact, I came to dislike it because of the way it was taught. Moving here, doing some study before I came and learning Korean, I've come to think of learning and understanding and being in that comfort zone as a superpower. I don't think it comes closer. So with that in mind, AI is obviously making leaps and bounds. A new tool comes out every day. Apple's latest AirPods are touting Korean translation.
Yeah.
So if I were to play devil's advocate, why should I continue learning when in a few years it might be made redundant?
So, the concept of AI replacing you in your job, I think this is something that we will have to deal with, in one way or another. but I think it's similar. Now people more clearly understand that it's not competition between AI and humans. It's competition between humans and other humans who use AI really well. So the way I look at it is the same. Is it AI replacing the need for language learning? I think it's actually quite different. I'm super excited about AI technology because it is accelerating my learning. So right now, more than ever before, there's fewer and fewer excuses to not learn a new language because let's say up to 5 years ago, the minimum amount of time that you needed to spend with one language to become completely advanced was, say, 2 to 3 years. But with AI, I think it can be down to one year. So if you can invest 1 year of your life into actually being or becoming the speaker of that language, a real speaker, why wouldn't you, right? So that's my approach. And in learning a new language, I think there's always a human connection. Right now, as we're speaking, we have an open lounge event happening somewhere else in Hongdae. I'm not even there. The Korean learners are now gathering in a coffee shop, participating in some activities, online and offline, and then hanging out with other fellow learners because it gives them a sense of belonging. They make new friends. And if you don't learn just because you can have automatic, translation, you don't meet any of those people. So for practical transactions, I think that's great. I actually did solve a major hotel reservation issue in China with ChatGPT's help because 70% of the conversation was done in Chinese between me and the hotel clerk who didn't know any English. So I was doing fine, but then something got really, really specific. Something about the authentication code for the credit card transaction.
Right.
I was like, can you wait a minute? do you mind if I use this? And he was like, yeah, fine. So yeah, I think practical transactions will be replaced. But a real human-to-human connection, if that's what you're after, absolutely not. I don't know, maybe in 10 years' time, it'll be also a bit different. Maybe everybody will be wearing something 24/7. Maybe. We'll all speak one big language. We don't know, but I think we'll still want to learn languages.
We'll all own a Babelfish.
Yeah.
Speak everything.
Yeah, we'll have like really cool glasses.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. So you said that AI can help accelerate our learning now, and we have no excuses, unfortunately for me. But how are you, Alec, talk to me in Korean. How are you looking at AI and thinking of like implementing it to help out language learners?
So we have now 2 areas where we are already implementing AI tools. We don't like promote it on the front page or anything. It's just there subtly to help people learn. So we have our speaking app Seo, and we now have a AI chat feature. We are rolling out another feature next week to have a completely free conversation, no restrictions, like not bound by a topic or anything like that. So people can just switch it on, talk to it, and then an AI character with some personality will talk back to you, and that will stimulate your brain further. And then in our reading app, graded reading app, after reading a story, we prompt the learner to write something. And then all the grammar and sentence translations are done automatically by AI, which wouldn't be possible manually because we have 1,500 stories there. It would cost too much, take too long. So right now it's there. And then eventually in the future, when people type, they will get AI-based feedback. Oh, this grammar point, you used it really well, but you could do better with another particle or something.
Right.
Something that I can't do, I can't offer, something that no one on the team can offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's super interesting because, like, as much as AI can create these, whether you like them or not is subjective, right? But, it can create images, video, perfect your email for you. But in the context of like language learning, right? You could, in theory, get your preferred chatbot of choice to coach you at a speed that you're comfortable with, and like check and review with you. And do you think it is more of a supplemental tool rather than a replacement of teachers? Because to my mind, I really value what you were talking about earlier, which is that personal connection, and like in my learning. So do you see these tools as supplemental, or do you think at some point AI might be enough?
I think AI is already enough for a lot of people. So let's say one of us wants to learn German as a completely new language. It is absolutely possible to learn the entire language without hiring anybody, without subscribing to any other course. But you will have to be very diligent. You have to understand how AI tools work. You have to be very proficient in AI tools right now. And you have to be very motivated. Without any human-based motivation, without a teacher, just by talking to Gemini or ChatGPT, you can learn it. It's absolutely a valid point, but it'll be more lonely. It'll be harder. It'll be less interesting.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment it's still possible. I mean, already possible, but still better as a supplement, in my opinion.
I guess that kind of rings true in my personal experience. The books, Korean language books, they serve as a structure and guide. And like where the book doesn't help me enough, or like the context isn't there, I can use the AI tool to help me better understand it a different way, and I can supplement that book and almost ask the book questions. This was the text that the book was talking about.
Right.
Help me understand this a bit better.
Yeah. One thing that I'm certain about at this point is no human teacher, no matter how professional or how experienced that person is, can explain things better than AI.
Right.
Now, it's impossible for any human being to explain grammar or word better than AI, because AI has everything like stored in their brain. So humans are there to guide people. Hey, okay, so you understand that, you go learn this particle, come back. I'll give you the next item. So I'm not even trying to compete with ChatGPT in being the best grammar explainer.
Right, but I also think there's this thing about it, like even if you prepare really well through an AI tool, it doesn't prepare you for that moment though, when you actually encounter a native speaker for the first time.
Yeah.
And you have to say, oh, I need to go home, or
right. And I'm using AI tools for my Italian learning these days quite a lot. Like I often ask ChatGPT, because ChatGPT already knows all my grammar-related questions and vocabulary-related questions. So I can say, my Italian level. So now give me a fun story to read based on my personal questions that I mentioned here in the chats, based on our past conversations. And it'll write a fictional story with my name in it and with all my personal experiences in it. And then it'll be exactly at my current Italian level. Completely comprehensible input, and I love it. It's better than any other textbook I can buy right now.
But what about the like culture? Because so much of when we think about why language is important, it's because you can connect with people, and also you can connect with a wider culture too.
Yeah.
So it does seem like you're losing some of that nuance.
Exactly. If you replace your real learning, but your human-based learning or traditional learning completely with AI, you will, I think, lose a lot of that cultural aspect.
Yeah, because I think at this point you still need to ask.
Yeah.
So the reason that I think Eric's question is a good one is because you are our sonbe, right? In a Netflix translation, that might just use your name. You know,
Right.
if this was a movie scene,
Yeah.
right? So it misses the meaning of sonbe, you know, older student like of a particular organization. I mean, I've probably misquoted the meaning already, but generally.
Yeah.
So how, unless you seek out that cultural nuance, you won't find it with AI. And I think
Exactly.
that's something that your books do really well, is that, you know, alongside the nun un grammar point, you explain the cultural context of those things when you can.
Right, right.
Do you think that something is lost without those elements? You know, without those, you know, without understanding sonbe, if you just switch it to the name like Netflix does, sorry, Netflix, do you miss something? Are you losing something?
Yes, you are, but it might not be a huge problem from day one. It's okay to think, okay, 선배 means you. It's okay. And then you can make a mistake of calling everybody 선배 whenever you need to say you, just because the first scene where you saw it was, you know, that kind of context. But it's fine. I think it's part of the process is making mistakes and embarrassing yourself.
Right.
So eventually, as long as you keep an, you know, open mind and as long as you stay curious, you will continuously absorb new knowledge and the knowledge will become more well-rounded. So yeah, I'm in general not against using AI or not even against the idea of AI replacing human teachers because it will to a big degree, really large degree. Yeah,
Scary.
it is, but it's also exciting.
As someone who worked in technology, scary and exciting are often the mix.
Yeah.
You know,
If you go on the VR headset app, like App Store, there are currently 2 apps for language learning.
really.
I've downloaded both of them
Okay.
and I tried both of them and they are very, very basic.
Right.
It's just something that was already like available in 2D, just turned into 3D or 4D. So nothing particularly AI based. I'm not like talking to a virtual Eric or Louis in front of my eyes in my own room, anything like that. But it will happen. It will happen within 3 years. And who knows? I'll be in a virtual world.
Yeah, I mean, even like retroactively, right? Like the video that you did the other day about K-pop demon hunters, right? There'll probably be an ability for YouTube to strip out the background.
Yeah.
Have you almost holographically appear in someone's room through a VR headset. We're not going to name names. Yeah, I mean, all of that content probably can be retroactively used that way. I mean, even now on iPhones, you can add the spatial depth to your photos, which obviously leads into their particular VR headset. I'm not going to shout out. Yeah, so one thing I've always noticed about Talk to Me in Korea, and since that first book, is the element of community. You know, it's not just a company. You mentioned what's going on right now. You mentioned the attempt at a cafe that you tried before.
Yeah.
Even like the website has some community like features
we have
to
a community section.
So was that intentional from the start? I think you've already kind of alluded to this being, you know, the company was shaped by those inputs, you know, and what do you think is the future of like community building in language education? Like, is it chat rooms, forums, cafes where people can meet in certain cities? Do you have any ideas on that?
I think as human beings, we naturally seek a sense of belonging to good groups and good causes, good families, I guess. So it's not something that we can live without. One of the scariest things in life is a sense of loneliness too. So I'm not saying that language learners are more lonely than other people, but you eventually want to get connected to people. It's a very natural human thing. And for me, because I have learned other languages before, I know what to do. I know where to go to actually meet with local Chinese people, Japanese people, and I know what I need to do to become friends with them more efficiently, quickly, without the awkward first few weeks of, you know, where do I go? But for most people, it's also a big challenge. It's an obstacle. So I want to make it easier and make everybody feel more welcomed to enter a room and take a seat and then talk to the person next to each other. And, so I just wanted to facilitate that. We've never really monetized on that because the language exchange meetup that I hosted for 6.5 years before Talk to Me Korean started, and 3-4 years after I launched Talk to Me Korean, we had between 100 and 150 people joining every single Monday and Thursday. So I can say I met a total of, say, 10,000 people in person, language exchange participants. And everybody came for one reason, to connect with people.
Right.
And we weren't charging people for entrance, so it was a hobby project that lasted for a really long time. But I think I got my conviction about community from my experience of launching that. I think it was in 2007.
And that stands in contrast to what we were saying about AI, right?
Mhm.
So much of our life now is online,
Mhm.
is digital. And I think that there is not everyone, the introverted people among us.
Mhm.
But for a lot of people, that connection and those third spaces are missing.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's probably a good thing to theme those third spaces, right? And
Mhm.
if language learning is the theme of that space,
Yeah.
the possibilities are endless there. I guess.
Right. And I think without speaking the language, the local language, I think there is so much more you need to do to make yourself likable or approachable. There are other extra efforts that you have to make. For example, I went 3 weeks ago to the Italian Chamber of Commerce year-end gala dinner.
Okay.
The tickets were expensive, but I went there with my wife.
The British Chamber of Commerce is expensive too.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I went there. It was a gala room full of people, 400 people. 200 people were Italian, 200 other people were Korean people working with Italian companies. And I was probably the only person not related to any Italian company who was not from Italy. But I went there, I bought the tickets to the dinner because it was like a shortcut. I went there in a tux and then sat with people, dining with fancy looking people and exchanged business cards. Imagine I went there without knowing any Italian. I mean, of course, we spoke mostly in English too, because there were other people too. But every single time I said anything in Italian, everybody was like, "Oh, you're learning Italian. You do know some Italian." And I understood a lot. But imagine I had earpods on and I was using machine translation. I have to really, really stand out to be remembered by. I have to be either super rich, super influential, super famous in order to stand out, or super funny. Without that, he speaks Italian aspect. It's the same situation with Korean, I think. More motivation for you guys. I mean, without the local language spoken by yourself, I think there's more effort that you have to make.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's almost like a shortcut that allows you to skip some of those
It is.
social cues, right? What is this person going to do for me? What business are they in? If you can bypass that with, especially at those kinds of events, with language.
Yeah. The number of times that I got this, I guess, reaction of, "Oh, vous parlez français aussi," or "Oh, you speak parli italiano," or "Nihongo dekimasu ne, hanasemasu ne," things like that. The same translation. "Oh, you speak our language." The amount of reactions that I get is just incredible. And every single time that happens, there's immediately no ice between me and the other person. The ice melts away right away. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's just interesting thinking about connection, because there's many ways to connect, right? There's just a person-to-person connection. But I think in so many cases, and certainly in my case, it's that desire for connection that's the impetus for learning. And again, connection it's not just a person sometimes. It can also mean to just the place that you're living in, right? In the case of Korea. Because it's so easy to come to Korea and just get by with English.
Yeah.
It's like you can probably live your entire time
Exactly.
like that. So no, I think yeah, there's something just when I like reflect on this conversation, I think about AI and community. I think at its core, there's this part of language that's deeply about connection and bring us closer to people.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going to go with that, but
Yeah. AI will help us achieve things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to achieve just because you don't know the language. It'll definitely be a practical problem solver. It's like quick fix for this current situation you're in. But then in the long run, it will also help you learn the language better and more quickly.
Yeah, I think there's a implementation that I quite like down in the station in Hongdae Station, that the see-through glass panel with the direct AI translation. So I'll be standing on one side, I'll select English, and the operator on the other side will be speaking in Korean, and you can read the text that's being translated like in real time.
Exactly.
I think, as much as that's probably one of the best use cases of AI at the moment.
Exactly.
And it will only get better.
Yeah, you can't learn a new language just to go to Egypt, just to go to Canada. It shouldn't be in the way. The language shouldn't be in the way of your traveling, right? Because now AI tools will help you feel comfortable.
They'll help you pick where you're going.
Exactly.
And then send you and tell you everything you need to pack. And
get through the credit card authorizations too.
Yeah. But then you won't become friends with the other person. That's for sure.
It's true.
Scary. As we said, it's all in how these things are used.
So, why don't we close things off with some practical advice for language learners?
Okay.
Just let's make a hypothetical person. Let's say someone who's lived in Korea for 7 years or maybe 2 years, or not too young, not too old, early 30s, coming from a generic English-speaking country. What advice would you give to people out there who are hitting a plateau in their language learning journey?
It's the same piece of advice that I give to everybody, including myself, which is just make time. Just make time, block the time in your calendar. 1 hour at first, maybe 30 minutes at first, 1 hour, if possible, 2 hours every day. Try it for a few days at least. And then because the 2 hours each day, the time block will be used for language learning, you will then have to come up with what to do during those 2 hours. And when you pick a book, if the book is boring, you'll have to put it down, pick another book. The only thing that you have to do is actually fill up that time with the real learning. You can open Netflix, maybe. You can use maybe browser extensions for dual subtitles or things like that, or turn off the subtitles. Whatever you do, listen to music, talk to your friends, go on some platforms to talk to tutors. Whatever you do, try filling up those 2 hours, and you will exactly know what your learning style is. A lot of people think that, I'm just going to fill up 2 hours of Netflix, fill up those 2 hours with that. But then it's actually harder than you think. If you're learning something, it's way too much information. So you close it and you pick up a grammar book, and then that might be easier. So that's what I do. And I get a ton of questions online, DMs, comments. How should I learn? And then I always answer back, how are you currently learning? And 90% of the time, there's no reply back because they're not learning or studying actively at the moment. They just want an easy way, but it's about time. So make time, try filling up 1 hour, 40 minutes a day with whatever you think will work, and you will quickly understand your learning style and what the problem is. Do you have not enough resources? Do you have too many resources, but you have no direction? Maybe you can hire a tutor or a coach. Or are you happy with 1 hour? Can you actually, bump it up to 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 5 hours a day, which I did with English.
Wow.
Almost 5 hours a day. Yeah, every single day. And 5 hours of breakdance training. You just feel your progress in real time if you study or train for 5 hours a day.
I guess that's like, what you're saying is set your intention for however long, time box yourself, set your intention and find and navigate your way through. Because it could be very easy, and I do this myself, like to get lost, and you think that, I don't have a rigid structure here to get me through. And I think that's a byproduct of, education. Like you go to school, you learn X, Y, Z thing for an hour, then you go to the next class, Without that structure, I think a lot of us aren't able to exist in the exploratory aspect of learning. Like maybe I'm speaking for myself, but you both are nodding, so I assume you agree with me a little bit. So really, like, just dedicating, okay, for the next hour, I am learning Korean, and whether that be I spend 5 minutes watching a Netflix scene, and then I'm going to translate everything from, the subtitles. I'm going to dig into what those particles are, and then the next day it might be something else. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like great advice to me. Just really set your intention.
Yeah.
Time box.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you do during those 2 hours or 1 hour. You will realize really quickly that maybe you need structure. You're the type of person that really needs structure. Then you will go to a place or person that offers structure. And then if you want entertainment, you will go somewhere, find that entertainment. And a lot of people, if they try it, will realize how hard it is to actually focus on learning and not be dragged down into scrolling on your phone. Because it is, so I track my study time whenever I study. And
you have an app?
Yeah, I have an app for that. And the app is running on the top of my phone. And even when I'm driving, I have a shortcut on my phone for Italian podcast listening. I'm driving and I am going to press that podcast button on the screen, and I have my phone there. So I press that shortcut too, and it's tracking. So I know at the end of the week how many hours of Italian listening I did. And I can look back at the stats and say, oh, I didn't listen to Italian enough. I'm going to vamp it up, So, yeah.
No, I think it's interesting, though, talking about there's different ways of learning, like entertainment or route, whatever. Oh my goodness.
The Americanism.
Route memorization route. And, like there's structure, entertainment, different ways. And something I found, I'm curious if you found it or seen it in other people, is that sometimes it needs to change. Sometimes I'm one type of learner. And then what happens is I start studying less and less, and I realize maybe belatedly, that's because that's not the type of learner I am anymore.
Exactly.
That's not what I need now.
Yeah. So I think it just happens very naturally. You, like, related to what we were saying about comfort zones, that learning type was comfortable for you earlier, but then now you've outgrown your previous learning style. You are more mature or more advanced, so you need a bigger challenge, something harder. So it's boring now, so you want to go up in level. So right now, I'm experiencing the same thing with my Italian daily practice. I actually have a separate Instagram account where I was posting secret daily video clips of myself speaking in Italian for just 1 minute or 90 seconds, unedited. And I kept it a secret from my family, even my wife, for 19 days. And seeing that I have done it for 19 days consecutively, I thought, okay, I can publicly announce it. So I tagged my public Instagram account as a collaborator, and I accepted it. And everybody saw, what is this day 20 thing? Because it was on the day, was the 20th day. So I think I recorded day 62 yesterday. And now, for the first 60 days, it was challenging. It was like fascinating. But now I feel like I want something different, because I've been saying in most of the videos, oh, this morning I did that. Tonight I'm going to do this. I'm going to meet my friends. Tomorrow, like I'm talking about what I'm doing that day, and it's not fun for me anymore. I've done that enough. So I want to now kind of go on to the next stage where I tell stories about Korea or my life, something like that, which will be harder. So people will feel like, okay, so your daily clips were at this level in terms of fluency, but then you're going back. Why are you speaking slower? Why are you making even more mistakes? But it's fine because naturally I will make more mistakes because my sentences will be more complicated.
I wonder, is there something about, because you could have done that for yourself, right? You could have recorded those videos, put those on a hard drive somewhere and let them rock. Was there something about the public nature, the accountability of that Instagram page that helps you stay on track or helps you keep doing it?
Absolutely. I think there were two reasons for me. The first reason was the accountability thing. I made all my followers my accountability partners. So that's that. But then the other half was to also send out a message to Korean learners. Hey, if I'm doing this, I am being vulnerable in front of you guys, in front of all these Italian people. Why can't you do the same thing with Korean? I think Korean people, if they find your Instagram account for speaking Korean, I think more Korean people will be supportive than, say, Italians in general. Because for Italians, it's not a shocking thing that foreigners speak Italian. But for Koreans, it still is a very novel thing. So yeah, it was twofold. One was to actually make everybody my accountability partner, and then to tell people, hey, you can do the same thing. I'll show you an example. You can follow my lead.
Yeah, it's the ways that we have to kind of trick ourselves, coach ourselves into, especially as adults, right? Like without that structured learning, we're almost, spoiled when we're children. We don't think of it that way, but that structure in some ways is really helpful. But without that, we haven't really some of us haven't really figured out how to learn and explore topics and then really dive into things. But, creating a private at first Instagram account, holding yourself accountable, getting to 19 and being like, okay, this is a body of work I can share now, and I'm going to be vulnerable, and creating your blog in the first instance, trying to explain signs and what they might mean.
Yeah.
The things we have to do as adults to keep ourselves learning and nimble.
Exactly. And think about it. How embarrassing would it be if I stopped right now, like at day 62, and then tell people publicly in other videos, be consistent. And everybody will be like, what about your Italian learning project? You didn't even finish 100 days.
Right.
And I'm absolutely enjoying it, so I'm not going to stop. But yeah, that was a very vulnerable, potentially embarrassing situation that I put myself in because not doing that was uncomfortable for me. I'm very comfortable being in this position where every single post I make on Instagram, there are comments of correction. Oh, you could have said this, like, you used this word instead of that, but I appreciate it. And I learned from those comments as well.
Yeah, like being humble, being like, I'm not perfect at this. I'll accept the feedback.
Exactly.
Wow, so much to take away from this from this conversation. But we do have to end it here. I'm very sorry, but this has been incredibly thoughtful. And to be honest, I learned something. I want to be a bit more stringent with my time boxing. So yeah, we've learned a lot about Talk to Me in Korean. We've learned a lot about you and the Korean language. All that's left to do is to wish Talk to Me in Korean a 생일 축하합니다.
감사합니다.
And thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate it.